I'm going to do a video here on making some blanks, bowl blanks and spindle blanks from a con tree that I got from a guy that cut a big con tree down. That's what I got left of it up there in the back of my truck. And these are some bowl blanks that I've already made. And then that's a bunch of spindle blanks that I made, and a couple bowl blanks too. Still got a lot more of them to cut up. Well, this is just kind of an introduction video, or introduction to the video, and then I'm going to kind of show you what I did with this. I'm relatively new to wood turning, been doing it for probably 6 months. Haven't made bowl blanks or anything like that on my own yet, but done a lot of videos of Lichtenberg burning, if you've been watching any of those videos. But I wanted to kind of show as I go along my learning curves and what I learned, lessons learned, things I do right, things I do wrong as I go along. So we're going to get after it. We're going to do some of these bowl blanks, show you how I cut these up, show you how I did some of these spindles, and also going to show you my technique what do you do to coat them to keep the checking of the ends of the blanks at a minimum. So let's get started. Okay, right here I have a 10-inch log. It's roughly 10 inches. It's got a little bit of checking on it already, and it's 12 inches long. So what I need this, the length of my log, close to the same as the diameter of the log, to make bowl blanks out of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trim just a little bit off, see if I can get the checking out of it, and then we'll split it in half and make bowl blanks out of it. And I got another idea too, something else I'm going to try a little bit different. So we'll try 2 different methods on it, but we'll do this one first. Okay, this is going to work out good, I think, because I'm going to change my camera angle here so we can take a better look at this and what we got here and decide where we're going to cut it for our bowl blanks. I don't know how well you can see it. Right there is the center of my pit. So what I've got, normally if you just cut the log in the middle, you're going to have a lot of pith on one side, you're going to waste some wood on the other side. I want to try and cut the pith out on this particular one. So what I want to do, I'm trying to look and see where I got my pith equally from side to side. Basically find the middle of it. And I'm eyeing this in right here. So I got 30 inches here. So 25's there, 35's here, right outside the bark. So that's a pretty good line right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a little mark there. Now what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut the pith out on this one. So I'm going to just come about right there. And I think if I cut that mark away, that should remove all of my pith. And that's going to give me possibly a 4.5 inch deep bowl. And I don't know whether I've said this in this video yet or not. I'm by no means an expert on this. I'm relatively new on wood turning, and this is my first time to cut up bowl blanks. But if you watch any of my Lichtenberg videos, you'll see that a lot of things I did early on, I got much better at later down the road. And I think it's good for people to see the progression of somebody as they do this. So we're kind of learning as we go. I'm not an expert, but I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm sure a lot of us are in the same boat there. So anyway, I'm just going to try and go straight down as much as I can. Hopefully I get most of that pith out. Any of the pith that's left, I can still turn it out or cut it off on the bandsaw if I need to. Okay, that's my side where I cut the pith out. The pith is probably 1.5 inches from the end. It's about 3/4 of an inch. So I ran out just a little bit with it, but that's okay. It's got some cool looking grain in it. So that makes me a bowl blank right there. A bowl blank with no pith on it. And this other one, I'll probably take it and cut it up on the bandsaw. So I don't know, I'll get a bowl somewhere out of like this. Kind of, it's a little bit oblong, but anyway, we'll see what happens with it. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to seal it with the anchor seal, just like I did the others before it starts checking. And we'll try one more. Okay, I've got another blank here, or another log that I'm going to turn into some blanks. I've marked my pith. And this one I'm going to try separate. Some of the wood turners I've seen, they cut straight through the pith, and then once they get it on the lathe, they turn the pith part off. So I'm going to try that with this one. And I've already looked, this log kind of runs this way, so the pith is over here on the other one. So I'm going to attempt to make my cut at a slight angle like that to try and hit the pith on both sides. And the way the pith is, it'll give me a pretty good sized bowl over here. A little smaller bowl here. I don't know if my log is long enough to make a full-size bowl, but I can always bring the bowl down to get it in round. There's my pith right on the edge there. Looking at the grain, it looks like I hit it. Oh, I hit it almost perfect. So I went pith to pith there, so that's a big old bowl blank right there. And like I said, when I turn it, I'll cut that off. The other thing I said I was gonna do different too, I haven't cut the tips off yet to get the checking out of there. Now I figure it'll be easier to do once this thing's cut in half. So what I'm gonna do, I guess I'm gonna take it and lay it flat here and square the ends up a little bit, get some of that checking off. This thing runs really narrow right there, so I'm gonna be able to do the best that I can with it. Essentially got no cracking. I mean, I got a little bit here. Okay. Somewhat squared up. So anyway, I'll take it and I'll put a circle on it. It's going to make it a lot smaller bowl just because the log was, if it had been a little bit thicker, man, or a little bit longer, that'd have been an awesome log. But it's still going to make the bowl a little bit smaller, but it'll still be cool. I can make it really deep, it's a good thing. You know, it may not be very big around. It can't be any bigger around than this, which is, let's see what that is. Yeah, I still get I got 11 inches in there in the middle, so I can get an 11-inch bowl out of it. I got 14 that way, so I'll trim a lot of that off. The good thing is, now granted, I got to take some of this pith off. I'll probably take about that much of the pith off, but I can go up 6.5 inches depth. So it's be a 6.5 by 10-inch bowl. That's a nice deep bowl, so it'll still be a good one to work with. Anyway, that's about it. I'm not going to cut up any more of these today. Like I said before, I'm just starting out on this, and I'm just going to let y'all kind of learn along with me. I've got lots of experience with woodwork. This is relatively new to me, so I'm going to give it a shot and just follow along, and hopefully I'll get better and I can teach y'all more as I learn. Okay, I'm going to show you. I talked about learning lessons as I do this, and one I've already figured out pretty good. You saw the other bowl blanks I did. I cut down this way. Ended up with these little chips like that. Well, I figured out the other way to cut it, and I ended up with these, and it cuts so much smoother. So what I've done, I've marked my pith. I've got a rough idea here where I want my line. I've got it marked on both sides. So now I've got it cut out a little notch in my log here to help keep these things from rolling. So this works out pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here and cut this the other way, and let's see how much better that works. Okay. See, that's the shavings I get off of it. It's much better. It cuts much easier. Less chance of it binding on the saw. Gives me a nice smooth cut. Anyway, I just want to show you that. Okay, right here I just have a long branch off this pecan tree, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it up and make spindle blanks out of it. Now I've kind of already done this. I've gone down and looked, and like I put my straight edge on it, and this thing is relatively straight between this point and this point. So I've taken just a crayon, like a wood crayon, and I've marked right there. So I'm going to cut that to get that straight section, and then out of this section right here, there's another crook here. So I went right in the middle of that, and I'm going to cut that off. That'll give me two short pieces, one long piece, and then this is a relatively straight end down here, other than where I got this little piece I got to cut off. So I'll get a medium, a long, and two shorts out of that one board. Okay, so now I've got, I don't know how much that's some stuff that could be turned off, but you never know on these things. And I'll take these things up to the wood shop and I'll rough turn them, and then I'll seal them again and then let them dry, because they're going to have to dry for a while before I can do anything with them anyway. But I'll rough turn them and see what they look like. Sometimes one that you think is going to be really good is, some isn't. So I got two short pieces here, and then I got this one long piece here. So that'll be a nice piece right there. It's straight for such a long piece. It's pretty straight. It's like it's got some bugs in it right in there, but we'll see. I might have to make it a skinny something, but I'll make something out of it. That's a good thing about it. And if that part there is too rotten, I can always cut it down and make a shorter piece out of it. So anyway, I'll put it on the lathe and get them rough turned and see what we can get out of them. Okay, right here I got another branch, and this one's got a little bit of a crotch in it. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to trim that off, and then cut this crotch out. The crotch may be too small to do anything with, but I'm going to try and see, and then I'll have one good spindle piece right here left over. So I'm going to trim these ends off, cut that off, cut the crotch off right there. Okay, so now I got a short spindle piece. That one, I don't know, it's got a tear where the limb broke when they were cutting it down. I'd probably turn that out and it'll be alright. Same thing, once I get it on the lathe, I'll see what it looks like. And then I got a little crotch. I may be able to make some kind of little small bowl or something out of this. I can give it a try and see what happens. Already got some checking in that, but that's too close. I can't really cut that. I'll just seal that, see if I can keep that from checking back any farther. And then I got a real nice spindle piece here. It's relatively straight. I'll lose some of it when I turn it out. It's got a little bit of a curve in it right there, but I can come in there and grab it right there, and I can still probably get a 2 or 3 inch piece out of that. So, okay, here's my bounty that I got off my free pecan tree and a little bit of Bradford pear that I found off of Craigslist. This stuff's been cut for, I picked it up yesterday, it was cut day before, so it's 2 days old. This is the 3rd day this has been cut. And I cut all the ends off. I cut them into straight pieces. So I cut all the ends off where I have no checking. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this anchor seal. I think you can see that. And it's a greenwood sealer. It's basically a paraffin or a wax of some form sealer. What it does is that, and I'm no expert by any means on this stuff, but the pith is, the way I understand it, the pith is a lot harder than the rest of the wood. So it dries at a different rate, and so when it does, all this other stuff dries and it causes the pith to start cracking out, and it'll spread out on your board and it'll spread into your board too. So if you seal it, it lets it dry in an even form, a slower, and it keeps it from cracking. And I can turn this wood, and I may turn some of it green, but the majority of it I'm going to let dry before I do anything with it. So all you do, and it's just an old throwaway paintbrush, put a nice little coat on each end, and that'll help keep that checking from happening. I'll get you another board here in just a second. I'll show you exactly what I'm sure most of you already know, but show you what we're talking about with the checking. Okay, and this is a piece of the Bradford pear that I got, and you can see the, I mean, you can still see the moisture. It's literally wet to touch. It's got so much moisture in it. The Bradford pear, I really like turning it. It's really a pretty cool wood. People don't think of it as a junk tree, and I say a junk tree, but they don't live very long. So people tend to look down on them, but it's actually a really pretty wood. And from what I hear, it's a very popular wood for smoking too, like for barbecue, stuff like that. It's basically a fruit tree. I mean, it's a flowering pear, but it's still a pear tree. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it on this side grain where I cut that off too, because I don't know if that probably is not as likely to check right there, but it might do it. Anyway, that's all there is to it. Let it dry, and you should let your stuff dry nice and slow without getting checking on the end. I'm going to stop tape for just a second. I'm going to go get you a board that's got checking on it so I can show you exactly what I was talking about with that. Okay, this is another piece from this same load. It's a bigger piece I haven't done anything with yet. And as I said before, this stuff was cut, I guess, 3 days ago. And you can see already it's got the checking in it. And it's just basically where it's drying out too fast. So when I cut all these spindles, you saw me cut all the tips off to get the checking off. And then I'm going to come back and seal it. And literally I'm sealing these things within an hour of the tips being cut off. Hopefully to prevent any more checking coming back on them until they dry out and they're ready to be turned. So I'm going to go ahead and cover the rest of these, and I'm going to do that off camera. I don't think you need to sit there and watch me paint the ends of all these boards. I just want to do a little quick update. I want to show you, assuming you can see that in the video, these are these same boards, and literally I've coated half of them, and I'm already getting checking on them. I think that'll be all fine when I get the sealer in it, but just about every one of them now has already developed some kind of checking, and that's in less than an hour's time. So this shows you how important this stuff is to help stop that from happening.